Hey y'all, what's up? I just want to give a shout out to Petty Tupac TV. Make sure you go smash, like, and don't forget to subscribe. For real, for real.
Different times. When he got shot the last time, that was his sixth time getting shot. So don't act like I was on trial for a good Samaritan.
Mike Marlo or Marlo Mike, the guy that was in Boosie videos, the young kid was 15, 16 years old, out here just terrorizing stuff, right? Mike Marlo in the back seat just begging for a body. Mike Marlo even tatted Boosie's Who's Next. Boosie Who's Next on his chest. Um, the guy he killed, Terrence Boyd, that's his daughter's brother, the one he keeps saying he up there playing spades with Tupac. I guess was a convicted sex offender at one point, but he was really a stepper too. But anyway, defendant Michael Loudon, that's Marlo Mike. Defendant Michael Loudon was charged by grand jury indictment with one count of first-degree murder. He pled not guilty following a jury trial. Defendant was found guilty as charged subsequently in the light of Miller v. Alabama. The trial court conducted a sentencing hearing. Following the hearing, the trial court sentenced defendant to life imprisonment at hard labor without benefit of probation, parole, or suspension of sentence. Thereafter, the trial court granted defendant's motion to reconsider sentence and set a date for additional sentencing hearing. Following the second sentencing hearing, the trial reaffirmed defendant's sentence to life imprisonment at hard labor without benefit of probation, parole, or suspension of sentence. Let that sit in. Hard labor without the benefit of probation, parole, or suspension of sentence. Defendant is now appealing his rights. On October 21st, 2009, Terry Boyd was shot and killed as he sat inside of a home at 16837 Vermillion Drive in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Detectives who were investigating a string of unsolved homicides in the Baton Rouge area received tips that led to the defendant being identified as a suspect in the Boyd homicide, as well as several others. The defendant was arrested on a warrant issued as the result of an unrelated assault and terrorizing charges. Following his arrest, the defendant gave a series of videotape statements to investigators wherein he admitted to his participation in the Boyd shooting along with other homicides. Defendant described that in the hours leading up to Boyd's shooting, he, Torrance, Lil Boosie Hatch, Adrian Pittman, and Michael Ghost Justin were discussing a letter written to Pittman from an Angola inmate named Lee Lucas. Lucas's letter purportedly stated that prior to Boyd's recent release from prison, he had been making threats about what he was going to do to Hatch upon his release. Hatch told the others that he would pay $25,000 to have Boyd killed. Later that night, Pittman drove defendant and Justin to North Stevendale Road in the area of Vermillion Drive. Pittman waited nearby in his van while defendant and Justin attempted to find Boyd. Once Justin identified Boyd inside the house, defendant began to shoot through the window, ultimately striking Boyd and killing him. Pittman picked up defendant and Justin and drove them back to Hatch's residence. There, Hatch gave defendant $2,800 for his participation in the shooting. $2,800. Pittman testified at trial confirming his, Justin, and defendant's involvement in the Boyd shooting. At trial, the state also introduced other crime evidence which demonstrated defendant's involvement in 4 other ambush-type shootings. At the time of Boyd's murder, defendant was 17 years old, and Miller, the United States Supreme Court, held the Eighth Amendment forbids a sentencing scheme that mandates life in prison without the possibility of parole for juvenile offenders convicted of homicide offenses. Miller does not, however, establish a categorical prohibition against the imprisonment without the possibility of parole for juvenile homicide offenders, but rather requires a sentencing court to consider the offender's youth and attendant characteristics as mitigating circumstances before deciding whether to impose the harshest possible penalty for juveniles, right? A state is not required to guarantee eventual freedom. A state is not guaranteed or required to guarantee eventual freedom. Now let that even sink in, right? some meaningful opportunity to obtain release based on demonstrated maturity and rehabilitation. The Miller court stated that too great a risk of disproportionate punishment is created by making youth irrelevant to imposition of the harshest prison sentence.